Everyone, and welcome to Disrupt Your Day. I am Petula, your host. I am beyond excited today to speak with Angela. Angela is a wealth of knowledge and a best-selling author of financial and okay, I'm like fumbling, but that's okay. And financial expert who overcome a childhood of abuse and poverty, raised in Section 8 housing, and working from a young age. Angela's resilience led her to earn a finance degree from California State University with over 25 years of experience in personal finance. She has excelled in banking, financial advising, real estate, and insurance. Angela is now dedicated to closing the poverty gap and empowering others through financial literacy. Discover her insights in her book, Empower Your Money, available on Amazon. Hi, Angela. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited to get some tools and tips for our ladies listening into Disrupt Your Day. So yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And you talk about like the fumbling in the beginning. I think that's was, going right into topic because as women, we tend to fumble through our finances. So it's a great way for us to start off the conversation.
Perfect. I always preach about not being perfect, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So tell us, why do you teach women about money?
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of talked about my backstory. I grew up in poverty. We didn't have money. And, when I wrote my book last year, I really thought about like, who's the person that I want to write this book for. And so, I thought about my mom and her mom and how they really just didn't have any financial education. Now, they didn't take the time to learn, but no one
Yeah.
also, put out that hand to help teach them about it as well. And so I watched, them struggle through their life without having money. And I thought, like, there's got to be a better way. And I don't want to repeat that cycle. So how do I
Right.
change it for myself? And then how do I change it for others?
Right. Oh, that's amazing. So with that, is it in mindset, like how do we get women, especially women, because that's primarily the audience, to get on the mindset and to understand what it means to be financially set, or I would say wealthy, or, it could be a scary term.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago that a woman could get a credit card or a house loan without a man. So, we think back into the 70s, into the
Yeah.
80s. 80s is when women could actually get a loan for a business or for a house on their own. It wasn't
Right.
that long ago. So it really is going to take, some generational shifts and mindset for us
Mhm.
to realize that we can control our own finances, that we can be in charge of our own finances, and that we don't need a man or a male to help us with our finances, but we're still, paving the way and learning. And I think as the generations grow, that will be more of the norm and less of, a couple decades ago when we couldn't have that option ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading something yesterday, about the breaking the glass ceiling. There's a date, May 15th, that was set for it, and how it was a huge, topic just like a year or two ago, and now it's like no one's talking about it, right? And how do we get back to having women like, all right, in order to do that, you have to start taking steps, you know, in your own life, to get that in place, financially, health wise, whatever that looks like for you. So it's definitely a movement that needs to still happen and keep going. But they're saying that women won't catch up for several decades, which is crazy. So, I mean, I feel like we need to change that because, I mean, women are becoming CEOs like of Citibank and recently of, many, many big corporate organizations. So I definitely encourage women, whether if you're in a leadership position or entrepreneur or just for personal growth, to really start thinking about money and that mindset around that. So
Yeah.
what
And if you think
advice
about
would you give? Yeah. Go ahead,
Oh, I was
sorry.
going to say, if you think about the industry as a whole, right? The money
Yeah.
industry, financial advisors, real estate, insurance, they're still predominantly a male dominated industry. So until
Yes.
we start to see more, and I'm talking like CEOs, CFOs, the head of the
Yes.
industries are still predominantly male. And it has been for a long time. So once we
Yes.
start to see more women in those roles, I
Yeah.
think us that are not there, perhaps, will look up to them and we'll want to know, what are you doing? What can you teach me? What can I get information from you? And how can I utilize
Yes.
that to change my own life? So we've
Mhm.
come a long way, but there's still quite a ways for us to go.
Absolutely. So what would you suggest as like a number one piece of advice or like the why behind it, as an expert?
Yeah. First thing, recognize when you're ready to really take control of your finances, understand that it's going to be a process. And
Right.
the best way for you to start that process is to look around you and see who is doing something better than you. And as women, we love to help each other, but we hate to ask for help. So find someone that's around you, a mentor, a friend, could be someone in business, and just ask them, can I, have 5 minutes of your time to ask you some questions? And you may not know what questions to ask, but once you
Yeah.
become curious,
Mhm.
then they're going to start, wanting to help you, because as we've been successful, we understand what you've been through. I want to help other people, but you've got to be able to reach out to me and take that first step to ask
Mhm.
for the help so that I know that you're ready for me to give you the information that I can help you with.
So that's great because oftentimes we don't, right? We just sit back and be like, we can't. So, like, what are some easy thought process that you could share that a woman could be like, okay, wait, that's easy. I have that. I'm there. I mean, I could really start because I don't need, X amount of dollars to start, or that kind of thing.
First thing is figure out what your own financial picture looks like. Go back and look at your credit card statements, your bank statements, and think about, what is it that I'm spending money on? What are my actual expenses? And is there
Right.
anything I can cut out from here, right? And
Hmm.
figure out what is your income. That's going to help you determine what you have left at the end of the day so that you can start writing down and make visual your own financial goals. And it's going to be very personal. But I encourage you to make sure that you have either a mentor or a friend that you're sharing it with, because when we share our goals with someone else, I have a daily accountability partner. I'm
Yeah.
more likely to accomplish those goals, right? Because I know someone else is watching me too. It's not just me. I can't just blow it off for the day. But if I'm
Right.
texting her like, this is what I'm getting done today,
Hmm.
we'll ask each other, well, what did you accomplish yesterday? So it's an
Hmm.
accountability
Hmm.
piece. So not only looking at where am I at today, where do I want to go, but who can I share this process with so that we
Right.
can be each other's cheerleaders and hold each other accountable so that we are working every day towards those goals.
Yes, I agree. I preach community, right?
Mhm.
Like, being a community, have those, thought leader conversations, or, like you said, reach out to, have a mentor, have a coach, have someone to help you through your journey. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people, not only women, but men, but kind of think that that's not needed, right? So,
Mhm.
what advice would you get for women who are married? Because in a lot of households, women who marry men are kind of carrying the financial, um, I wouldn't say low, but kind of, carrying most of the finance. So, what advice would you give to married women?
Yeah. So if you haven't had the financial conversation before, it can be a little scary. So
Yeah.
understand that that's a normal reaction for you. Sit down and ask your
Hmm.
husband, if something were to happen to you tomorrow, I have no
Yeah.
clue where our finances are. I don't know what your wishes are. And I want to be part of this journey. We talk
Hmm.
about 50% of marriages end in divorce. And the number one reason people fight is about money. So I don't
Yeah.
want to be divorced. So help me understand, what does our financial picture look like and how can I help us meet our goals? And you can decide at that point, how much information do you want to be? But what I find with a lot of my clients is when they have that conversation, one, it brings them
Yeah.
closer. And two, the woman starts to realize what her spending habits are. And I've seen women just kick habits because now she's got a common goal with her husband. Maybe it's a vacation or to pay off their house. And she just didn't realize, those spending things that she was doing was taking away from those goals. But now that they have the goals together, she can cut
Hmm.
out some of those habits that are just not needed for them and work
Yeah.
together on the goals together. And it really does just like unite that marriage more. And I love watching that process.
That's amazing. Do you also suggest that that conversations taking place and they're doing it together, but do you also suggest that women kind of do their own thing as well?
Yeah, it depends on the woman. Like if she's either has a job or a business that she's running that's creating some income for the family, absolutely. Maybe she wants to have some of her own goals that she wants to meet and not just the joint goals. So write them
Right.
down, but make sure you're having a conversation together because it's still a marriage and you want to make sure you're on the same page when it comes to money. But perhaps you just want to have some of your own goals with your own business that you're going to achieve. But now you guys can be accountability partners, you can be each other's cheerleaders. Although I
Right.
do recommend to have someone on the outside still be your mentor or coach because then you can separate a little bit of the emotion piece. We are emotional, that's going to happen. And having that outside coach or mentor will really help you meet those goals quicker.
So, yeah, I agree. I always think that for me, I always feel like women should always have their own thing, even though they're married. Like you're together, but you're also individuals. um, so with that said, where is like the best place to start investing? Do they start with like money market? Do they start with stocks? That kind of thing. Where is the best place to start?
Yes. So once you've gotten out of credit card debt, that's always my first thing. Don't start
Okay.
investing until you get out of credit card debt because interest rates at like 30%, you're not going to beat that in the market most times. So get out of credit card debt first. And when you're
Okay.
ready to start investing, I retirement. Retirement is the first thing I want you to look at because we can get a
Right.
loan for a house, for a car, for education, for our kids' education. I mean, I can go get a credit card, unsecured debt. But
Yeah.
when it comes to retirement, there's no loan there. So that needs to be your first priority. And the easiest thing, if you're just going to start off and you're not ready for a financial advisor, there's tons of podcasts that talk about index funds or very inexpensive ETFs that you can start looking at, doing
Hmm.
research on, and buying yourself in your own retirement account until you perhaps have more money and need a more qualified professional to help teach you.
Okay. And just for, clarifying someone listening to the puzzle, what does ETF mean?
Exchange traded funds, what it means is it could be just following a certain market,
Okay.
small businesses, medium businesses, international businesses. It's following a market, but you're not having to pay a higher fee
Yeah.
to some of the mutual funds. So it's just a cheaper option to get that whole market return without having to pay higher fees with a financial advisor.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So any practical apps you would suggest? Because, everything, we're in a digital world now, right? Everybody's on their phone doing everything, all kinds of transactions. So what would be a practical
Yeah.
app?
Rocket Money is a good one, especially if you're one that perhaps doesn't know all of your subscriptions that you have, apps on your phone, Netflix, Hulu, ESPN, all of those things. What I like about Rocket Money, and I'm not affiliate, so I don't own Rocket Money. But if you log in all of your credit card information, it'll help you determine what subscriptions you're paying for. You can
Hmm.
also kind of track your income and expenses, and it'll also help you cancel some of those subscriptions if you decide, it's not needed right now. It's not helping me to reach my financial goals. It's a great app just to be able to have a clear picture of everything.
Hmm.
Dave Ramsey also has a great app, especially if you're going to utilize his program, which I do. I used to teach his program as well, and it's great for people to start their journey, not necessarily for people continuing on their journey, but it's a great
Yeah.
program, and he's got a good app that he uses for his program as well.
Oh, great. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about your book, Empower Your Money.
Yeah, I find that when people want to start on their financial journey, sometimes some of the books can be overwhelming. They're
Yeah.
using words that you're not used to. And if you start reading it and you don't feel intelligent,
Mhm.
you're not going to keep reading it, right? You're not going to
Right.
implement what's in the book. So I
Mhm.
wanted to write a book for you. That's why it's called Empower Your Money, because I want to give you simple action items that you can do today in your life to help change your financial future. I want to keep it simple. This is a great way for you to start on your financial journey. And there's 101 tips in the book to help you with some ideas of either, creating income, cutting back expenses, investing.
Yeah.
I'm not a financial advisor, but it does give you some easy tips that you can kind of implement into your life right away, because I want you to take action. As soon as you're ready, take action. And that's how you're going to fast forward to those financial goals.
Amazing. Well, you seem to be rocking it out and everything. Oh, and when I was reading your bio earlier, I noticed that you're also in real estate. Like, is it real estate? Remax, right? You own a Remax, so that's amazing. I feel like investing in real estate is definitely a good thing for people to do when you talk about financial wealth. Can you give some insights into that?
Yeah, I mean, you pick a lane. There's so many ways that you can invest in real estate,
Hmm.
that you don't. If you're just starting your journey, you want to pick a lane, and it could be something like you're going to buy one house and you're going to rent it out. That's how I
Yeah.
started. 20 years ago, I bought my first rental property, and I quickly learned I don't want to be a landlord. So what I do today is
Yes,
much
please.
different. But it's a good way for you to get started. Another
Yeah.
way is tax liens, and this could be a whole other topic, but I would say
Yes.
Google it or follow my podcast. But it's a way for you to start getting into real estate at a much lower dollar amount, and
Okay.
it's still pretty certain of what you're going to get in return. That's a lot of what I teach today. But
Hmm.
pick a lane and kind of figure out the education piece and a mentor in that lane before you decide to invest any dollars.
Okay. Got it. Well, I really enjoyed having you on the show. You gave some great tips, some great information, and I feel like everyone could take something away from it, not only women. But it's just a pleasure to know that you're, as a woman, rocking it out yourself. And our season 4 is all about voices and voices from a page, and women being their authentic self and empowering everyone to live the lifestyle that they want or desire, right? Which is so important. So, again, thank you so much. All of Angela's information will be in the description. So please follow her, check out her podcast as well, to learn more if you're curious, which you should be, I feel, especially when she talked about the retirement part. I'm always kind of like, do I have enough? What do I do? You can't take out a loan for that. So that is definitely a huge takeaway from today's conversation. And don't forget, everyone, to subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for tuning in and watching Disrupt Your Day. Have an amazing day. And thank you again, Angela, for being part of our show.
Thank you.